Okay, so I spoke about how we are going to do this typography poster in which you're going to have a picture in the background and then you're also going to have text in the front. I'm going to have you focus on doing different colors and using different fonts. So you have a quote, you can put it on a Word document. First of all, before we, here it is on the Word document, and you can save it in your posters file. And it says, knowing what's right doesn't mean much unless you do what's right, and it's by Theodore Roosevelt. So the very first thing you're going to do with this project is you're going to open up a blank file. You need to decide on whether you want it 8 inches high or 10 inches wide, or 8 inches wide and 10 inches tall. So I'm going to have it 10 inches wide, 8 inches tall, so it'll be a little wider, 300 resolution. You can change the background contents to white and say OK. Alright, so this is our new file, and this is going to be for our poster. So if you look at your Word document and you're going to think about highlighting some particular words, such as knowing. I think that should be highlighted. Maybe the word right, and it's right over here. And you want to think about if you wanted to design this in which what's going to be bold, what's going to be highlighted. Maybe the word do, maybe knowing and doing, and then right and right. So I think that's probably enough. You don't want to highlight every single word. So these will be probably letters that are going to be bigger, letters are going to be bolder, letters that are going to stand out. The ones that you didn't highlight probably are going to be, for the most part, smaller and all the same font. So I have the first word, knowing. So I'm going to go to the text tool. You can always, you're going to make a whole mess of different layers, text layers. So if you get back to this Word document, knowing is going to be its separate layer, what's is going to be its separate layer, right's going to be separate, and you might want to say doesn't mean much unless you. That's a long stretch of words going across, so you might want to split it up. Doesn't mean much maybe, and then unless you being something different, and then do is going to be a separate layer, what's going to be a separate layer, and right's going to be a separate layer, and then of course Theodore Roosevelt's going to be separate as well. So you're going to have 10 different layers. Okay, so I'm going to work on the word knowing. You want to select a nice big bold font. You can always change it later. So I'm going to write knowing. It could be all capital, lowercase. Now the reason why you can't see it is that the text color up on top here is the same as the background, which is white. So before I do anything else, I'm going to highlight it, and I can change it to black for the time being. And it's at this point that you can kind of use this as an element, and you move it around and get it to where you want it to be. The next word is going to be what's. This one I'm going to just use a regular kind of plain font. So you're going to keep doing this and sort of laying out where the words are going to go. If you want to, let's look at my sample for a second. If you want to, you can go ahead and stack phrases and words. Like you see how Theodore Roosevelt is stacked up? You can do that. Here's another one over here where I stacked them up. You can see winners going across, make a habit of, manufacturing, and then I put their own where they're stacked. It doesn't have to be there and then over to the right, own, positive. If you feel like you want to move these things around, you can go right ahead. Okay? So your first thing you're going to do is everything in black. Trying out different fonts, and if you want to ever change it, you can just go to your text, go to your layer, go to the text tool, highlight it, and then you can go ahead and change it to a different, oh, I spelled it wrong, different font. All right, and then you can make all the variations, all the changes that you need to make. A couple things, and I mentioned this in the other video, is that you can, if you highlight it, you can actually try it out bold, italicized, underline, that kind of thing. Okay? So I'm going to finish up this design so all my words are laid out. The next video is going to be picking colors and then the right composition and getting everything nice and spread out. So that'll be the next video.